Copy the values that you see on my screen here. We're going to start with target display, primary monitor, display mode, borderless windowed, or full screen if you prefer that. Set anti-aliasing and super resolution type to NVIDIA DLSS or AMD FSR if you have an AMD graphics card. Super resolution mode, make sure this is set to ultra performance. Super resolution sharpening, I have mine set to 65. Frame generation mode off. Low latency mode set to the highest value possible. For me, that's NVIDIA Reflex low latency. Brightness, I like mine turned up higher. This is a personal preference, mine set to 75. Limit FPS, turn this off for now. Show FPS, make sure this is on, it's important for the video. Network stats, I like having mine on, but you don't need it. VSync, make sure this is off, and then go down to your graphics quality and change this to low, and that will change all of these values as you can see here. If you have a really low NPC, you might actually want to go into global illumination and turn this to off, reflection quality and turn this to off, and model detail and turn this to performance. Now those are the best performance settings in the game, so if you're all about performance, you don't want to make any further changes. However, if you're someone who likes a middle of the ground and wants a little quality as well with performance, what you're going to want to do is look up your monitor's refresh rate. In my case, my monitor's refresh rate is 180. Therefore, while in-game, I want to make sure that I'm at least getting a minimum of 180 frames per second to match my monitor's refresh rate. So what you're going to do now that you have these values set is start to go and play a couple games and keep an eye on this green FPS value in the top right corner. If you notice in your first game with these settings that you're already below your monitor's refresh rate in frames per second, so for me, if I was at 160 or 140 frames per second, I'm already at my max settings. However, if you are above your monitor's refresh rate when you go into your first game, so for me, if I was at 200 or 220 frames per second, that's when you can actually go into these settings and start to adjust them. If you wanted to make a big change at once, you could go straight from low to medium, and that will change all of these values. Or what I prefer to do is tweak individual values one by one and continue to play games until you start to get your FPS to the same level as your monitor's refresh rate. So again, for me, that would be 180. At that point, if you start to go below your monitor's refresh rate, you want to go back into these settings, change the settings that you had just changed to make sure that you're matching your monitor's refresh rate. At that point, if you decide, I personally like to have this on, I limit my FPS, and I'm now going to cap it at my monitor's refresh rate, which again is 180. So I'm going to cap my FPS at 180. However, this is not something that you are required to do. Next, we'll go over to the audio section. I'm going to keep all of these other ones really short. So if you want to copy these settings, you might want to pause the video. I like turning music volume down. I think it can be very distracting, hard to hear other things that are going on in the game. Playback mode, most people will want this set to headphones. Scroll down a little further, you'll find voiceover subtitles. This is something that I like having on. There's a lot going on in the game at times. This will make it easier to read on the screen who is ulting and so on and so forth, but obviously you don't need it. Combat mix, this is a really nice section here. You can turn certain values of things like healing sound volume, damage volume, critical health volume, but this is all going to be a personal preference, so play around with those values. These next two are interchangeable, keyboard and controller. If you start at here at the top, you'll see it says all heroes. You can actually change this, and the reason I'm going to show you this, I'm going to do this under the controller section, is that right now if I scroll down into these settings, this is all that I have here, but if you go and you check on the heroes that you play a lot, you might actually find, we'll check Luna Snow here, that she will actually have individual settings personalized for her if you go and click onto her in this change hero section. So make sure that you're looking through the heroes you play for maybe settings that are personalized for them. Next, we'll just scroll down here a little bit. We'll go back to keyboard. Mouse smoothing and acceleration, most people like to have these off. Reticle is all personal preference. If you want mine, I can copy and put it into the description. HUD widget size, I like having this on small. It allows you to see more of your screen. Allied health bars is a very big one. This is under both sections again. This one I believe is in a different section though. So keyboard, it is under just keyboard, combat. Scroll down, you'll find hero, allied health bars. Make sure that is set to on. It is on as default if you do not change it. Controller, it is under controller, combat, and then we have to scroll down a little ways and you'll find allied hero health bars. And what that does is now you'll always see your allied hero health bars, whereas before you would have only seen them if you were playing as a healer. So I like turning that on. These keybinds are obviously personal preference. Set things up that make sense for you. UI, again, all personal preference. Communication, I like turning this to 8 sections. It starts as 4 by default. 8 sections is going to give you more ping options. And then spectating is obviously just spectating keybinds. Now controller will have the same settings here. If you want a controller settings video, I have one on my channel. Communication, you can also set to 8 sections for controller. Social, not much there. Other, not much there. Accessibility, colorblind mode if you want it. So that's going to do it for this settings video. I really hope that helps you guys and you enjoyed. If there's any future content you would like to see from me, please comment below. Until next time, peace out.